Today's jargon term is task analysis. Now, this is one of these things that, we've all heard the word task. We use this in our everyday language, right? We've heard the word analysis, and we've used and heard that, put these two things together. We think we understand them, but really, why do I have to stop my day to hear about this? This is such a life-changing thing, turns out. When we're dealing with an individual on the autism spectrum and we want to teach them something that they're having a hard time with, this is a very big deal and can be life-changing. Okay, so let's take a look at our actual definition. A task analysis is the process of breaking down a complex skill or series of behaviors into smaller, teachable units. All right, that's not a bad definition. Makes a certain amount of sense. Let's move on to our working definition. Task analysis, a list of all of the individual steps a child or an individual has to take in order to complete a task or a sequence of behaviors. All right, let's stop and think about this, because I'm a former teacher. And I always used to think, when kids would come into my classroom, I began to think of them as wonderful little lumps of Swiss cheese. They had certain things going on, but then there were holes. And sometimes in our kids, the holes are so visible you can see through them, right? And if you're asking somebody to do long division, but they never ever learn to do multiplication, what are the chances that you're going to be successful at teaching the long division? It's really going to be an exercise in frustration for absolutely everybody. And when you're doing long division and they don't know multiplication, it can become evident very quickly, if they don't know the multiplication, this isn't going to work, right? But what about all those other tasks in life that you just go, I just don't know why they don't get it? And it could be something as simple as brushing teeth. It could be something as complex as riding a bicycle. It could be as complex as figuring out how to participate with a group of friends outside on a playground, right? These are all skills that take a certain amount of steps to be able to do and do well. And the thing about it is if there's one little thing in the middle that is gumming up the works, it makes the whole thing shut down. And doing a task analysis on something is a way of stepping back and looking at it, listing all of those different steps, because then you can have a teaching moment and go in, like literally checking them off. If we're talking about brushing teeth and going, okay, what are the steps involved in brushing teeth? You're standing there at the counter, and different people do this in different ways, by the way. Some people grab the toothbrush and the toothpaste and take the cap off of the toothpaste first and then put it on. Some people wet their toothbrush first, right? Different things for different people. But if we've got a child who is not managing being able to brush the teeth by themselves, and we discover, all right, they can go to the sink, they can turn on the water, they can wet their toothbrush, they can take the cap off of the toothpaste, but it's the squeezing the toothpaste tube at the same time as they're putting it across the toothbrush, the squeeze and the push, that's the part that they don't have. And they can't get it, so they get frustrated because they can't move on to the next step. And then we get to the frustration to the point where they're having the tantrum. Stop and think about all the really good things that they already have. They already know how to actually do the brushing. They know how to clean the toothbrush. They know how to spit. They've got all that together, but they can't get to the good stuff because there's one step in there that's blowing the whole thing. It's so easy as a parent to just get into the frustration with them and go, they just can't brush their teeth. When in fact, if we were able to look at the task analysis, we would be able to figure what to teach. So often when we get overwhelmed with what a child is missing or what an individual is missing, that we're like, I don't know how to teach this to them. Maybe they're not teachable. That thought certainly occurred to me on a very, very dark day, that I looked at my child and I went, I don't know what to do. Maybe he's unteachable. Doing a task analysis brings it back to a point where we can think like educators. We can think like teachers. We can get to a positive. It also helps you to realize, man, look, this is a 15-step process. It's not an easy thing. And when you check it off, wow, my child can do 11 of these 15 steps. Suddenly, it feels more doable. And when we take just one little slice out of the task and we say, what we need to do is work on that squeezing that toothbrush. That's manageable. And if we take it outside of working on brushing teeth, put it someplace else and have a tube of something and have the child squeeze it and make it really rewarding, like maybe getting a tube of paint where they're not having to deal with all the other sensory things, but having the tube of paint and having them squeeze it on in their favorite color. Now we're giving them tons of opportunity. If you think about it, maybe if you're doing really good toothbrushing, you're getting 3 opportunities a day to squeeze. That may not be enough, but we get the child and we've got all these tubes of paint and we've got them squeezing, and it's really reinforcing because there's color and they get to do things with the color that comes out. Maybe we're going to get 100 squeezes in a 10-minute time period. Now the child's building up the muscle and understanding and getting the fluency of it. Then we can plug it back into the toothbrushing and suddenly we see, man, this child can brush their own teeth and they get the pride of that, right? It makes it possible. So the task analysis, it's that list of steps that we break a behavior down into. And once we do that, then we have a way to teach the Swiss cheese, right?